Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Focused at 40.
I am Kathy Goodall.
And I am Genesis Etienne.
Welcome back. Wow, we're so many episodes in, I think we've lost count. But today we wanted to talk about a topic that is we think is very important. Last season we talked about the power of no and the fact that no is an entire sentence. And so we thought that we would look at the other side of it and speak to the topic today that yes is expensive. What does that mean, Jen?
So I am a mental health counselor, a licensed mental health counselor and a marriage and family therapist. And Kathy does a lot of coaching and business strategies and things like that. And so when we say that no is important because yes is expensive, it is because what happens in lieu of the yes, right? So when we say no as a whole sentence, we mean that when you say no, it's important because in saying yes, there are certain things that you're going to be giving up, right? Yes is expensive because it costs things.
Yeah.
It costs time. It costs resources. It can cost money.
It costs your peace sometimes.
Your peace of mind, right? It can cause stress. So stress is, yes, it's expensive because are you ready to be able to deliver the things that are going to come with yes? And are you willing to make some of those sacrifices?
Yeah. I think this is something that we learned a lot later in life. I am a people pleaser. And so it's always been difficult for me to say yo and no. And I found myself saying yes to so many things. And what I realized that happened to me is that I started to stretch myself way too thin.
Too thin.
And because I was stretching myself too thin, I wasn't able to give of my best self in some situations. Correct. Because I was drained. I was doing things that I really didn't want to be doing, that I didn't have the capacity to be doing. And at the end of the day, things started to suffer. And if I'm used to operating at a particular level, if I start to operate at something that is less than the level that I'm accustomed to, that affects my reputation, that affects my ability to execute with excellence. It becomes mentally draining.
Sure. And it can also affect like your own self-perception, right? I know that when, and I feel like I became a therapist because I needed to heal a lot of parts of myself, right? It's also always come natural to me, but the better and the deeper that I got into my career, that I got into parenting, that I got into healing certain parts of myself, the easier it has been for me to say no, right? Yeah. I used to say yes because right, I wanted people to like me, or I didn't want to look like a loser, or I didn't want to not be reliable or be able to be counted upon, right? I wanted to be the perfect this, or I wanted to be the perfect friend, or the perfect daughter, or the perfect student, or the perfect, right? And so what happens is that there's too many people, and we have a whole section like on validation and who's allowed to validate you and have that part of you, right? But in saying yes, and saying no, you get to take back your power, right? Because when you don't say no, you are giving up a lot. I think you're giving up a lot of what you have to give to people, what you have to give yourself, what you have to give your family. I think it's really important that we learn to say no more. What are some things that you've had to say no to?
Well, I think at
least recently.
Yeah, well, a lot. So when we think about the concept of yes being expensive, it's thinking about when I say yes, what are the implications of that yes?
What does that mean?
What am I giving up to do the things that I'm saying yes to? How am I going to feel doing the thing that I've said yes to? What is going to be impacted by the things that I've said no to? Because the reality is that when you say yes to something, we're saying no to something else.
To a possibility of many other things, right? Yeah.
And this affects every area of our life. So when we think about, like, for me, I'm a consultant. And so when I think about saying yes to particular jobs, it means that I have to now say no to other ones. And am I saying yes to something that not only pays me well, because money is one thing. I can get complete joy out of something that I'm doing for free, Absolutely. That I would rather prioritize than something that is paying me a crap load of money that's going to make me miserable.
Yes, because yes is based on your values, right? If you value family time, for instance, and you know that a job is going to pay you $180,000 a year starting, but you're not going to be home. what is the value, right? What are you giving up? What is that sacrifice? If you
Mhm.
know that money is your big thing and a job that you love, but they're not going to pay you, how do you value that? And I think it's really important that we pay attention to the things that we value and to the things that are important, because it helps us to better be able to say the yeses or the nos that are really important in our lives.
Absolutely. And same is true for if I'm choosing to spend my time with this person or these group of people, how am I going to feel spending that time? Are they people that are going to be making me feel good at the end of the day? Is it people that are just going to be draining me and complaining all the time? Because those things matter.
Absolutely.
Those things matter. So we think about our career and the choices that we make, the things that we say yes to. We think about the people that we choose to associate with, and us saying yes to speaking to them on the phone, spending time with them, exerting energy, doing favors for them. Are they people? And I'm not saying that people are not worth it and that they're not
No,
that
they
they
are.
don't have value, but how is it impacting your life? And in you saying yes to them, how are you going to be affected by it, and the other things that are happening in your life going to be affected by it?
Absolutely. I read recently something that said that think about the way that something is going to feel afterwards, right? So if you say yes to, let's say you take on a job, right? Before you say yes, envision what is the feeling that you want to have come out of that, right? When you're done with that job, you want to feel validated? Do you want to feel resourceful? Do you want to be inspired? Do you want to, right? What would be the optimal feeling that would come out of saying yes to this thing? If those things are not in line with the things that you want, right? If you don't seek validation, or if you don't seek certain things, then that yes doesn't make sense for you. You know what I mean? I think about a job, and when I think about if I say yes to this new job, how do I want to feel? Oh my God, I want to feel really motivated. I want to feel that I'm going to make change. I feel like I'm going to make bigger impacts, right? And so if I think about the job, even when I'm evaluating my values, those are things that I want to feel. And if I know that I'm not going to be feeling those things, whether it's yes to a dinner with a friend that you may not want to go to, or, yes to a party that you may not want to plan, or yes to a project at work that you're going to take on, what feeling are you looking for when you say yes?
Yeah.
And if it's a feeling that you feel good about, then say yes with the most amount of determination. But if it's a no,
Yeah.
make it a
It's
solid
even
no.
in the simple things. We talk about buyer's remorse. It's real. Why? Because people have regrets. When I say yes to spending X amount of money on something that I know I don't need, and then I go home and I pine over it after that.
For real.
Those are things that actually affect us. Whether you think it's conscious or subconsciously, it affects us, because you sit and you worry about, oh, maybe I shouldn't have spent that money. Oh, what could I have used that money to do that is more aligned with my values, or that takes more precedence or priority over what I chose to spend that money on? No.
Sure. And do I even want the stress of having to think about this money afterwards? Because even that is, you know what I'm saying? It's even taken from your mental reserves to be able to just manage your life. You know what I mean?
It's true for things like, what do we eat? Yesterday, Genesis and I went to lunch, and we sat down and we're like, do we have a drink? Do we eat this? Do we eat that? And then both of us were like, you know what? It's the middle of the day. It's lunchtime. We actually have to function after this.
It's only Wednesday.
We don't want to feel popped down in the middle of the day. And so Jen had a salad and I had an Impossible Burger.
Fun. But you know what? Good. But we did feel good. We did feel good. I had energy for the rest of the day. I could parent without, feeling wobbly.
Yeah. And that's the reality. So we are making choices. I mean, exercise is not something that we necessarily enjoy, but we say yes because we know how we feel after.
Absolutely.
We see the results.
We value our health, and we value the long term of it. I know that long term I'm going to feel, it may suck right now, right? But it's in the long term, it works. And again, when you're saying yes, even think of the long term effects of that yes, right? If you take a job that you absolutely hate, but they pay you a lot, are you going to come home and kick your dog every day? That sucks.
Or abuse your children.
Yeah, abuse your children, or drink every day. Like, think about what that yes is taken away from. And so I just think it's healthy to always be kind of like looking at the things that you really value.
Yeah. And guys, we understand and appreciate, especially depending on where you are in your life, that yes, to some things now may not be something that you're going to say yes to later on. For example, when I was starting in corporate, There are jobs that I took because it was a means to an end. I knew I was going to grow. I
Right.
was going to develop. This is what I gave myself timelines, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this for this amount of time. And so we can put limits on our yes.
You're damn right. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
we
that.
can put limits on our yes. And it goes back to what Genesis said about being aligned with our values. So if right now I know I need to grow and I need to develop, what's the best channel to do that? Right? And I'm going to give myself boundaries, which we talked about last season as well. Put boundaries around my yes.
Yeah.
So if I choose to go and have lunch with my friend that I know is just going to drain me today, I put a limitation and say, okay, I am a friend and I know that she needs me at this time or he needs me at this time.
But I'm giving her an hour.
An hour, no more than an hour. And it sounds bad, but guys, if we are trying to protect our peace, then these are things that we need to put in place, because at the end of the day, more than an hour with that friend is going to turn south real quick, because you're going to get annoyed, you're going to get frustrated, and even if it's not intentional, it's going to show that you don't want to be there. You're going to be picking up your phone, being distracted, and you're also doing a disservice to the person that's with you.
Yeah, and you're gonna just wish you had spent your time doing something else.
Yeah.
Even if you don't physically show the signs of being distressed by this person, you're gonna feel it. I feel, at least I do, whenever I'm doing something that doesn't sit right with me, I feel that I'm drained, I'm tired, or I'm disinterested, or I'm unmotivated. So I think it's really, really important that we be really firm with our no's and be okay with them. I feel like a lot of people say no and then think about it. They self-doubt. I think that also came with a lot of age, just being okay with my no. It did, in my 20s and in my 30s, I was very much yes. Do you want to do something? Yes. And I would look at my schedule and I couldn't figure out why I was so tired. And it's because I had done too much that day. And now I'm really good about, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to do this today. I can do it tomorrow, right? That conditional yes that we want to always be kind of looking at and making sure that those conditions, that we keep up with those conditions, and that yes continues to make sense for us.
Yeah, so we urge you to think about things before you say yes or no, and trust that the yes is worth it and it's meaningful. Make sure it's aligned with your values and the things that are important to you. Guys, we talk about prioritizing all the time, and that is true for every single area of our life. Do a quick assessment and think about how you're being impacted, and how do the other things that you need to get done, how are they impacted by the yes that you choose. We're gonna have some more resources on our website, focusthat40.com, so you can look out for all of our blogs and resources that help you to make better decisions in different areas of your life.
Sure.
And resources that are just helpful.
Just for some support even, right?
Yep.
Knowing you've got something there to kind of fall back on, or if you need, again, we spoke about stretching past our comfort zone. We've talked about manifestation. So all of these things are all tuned in. They're all together, right? You can't have the life that you want when you're putting yourself in positions that you don't want to be in. Yeah. You can't stretch past your comfort zone if you're not comfortable saying no. So everything adds. We're trying to build a system here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thanks, guys. We will see you again next week for
Focus at 40.